recognize some of the things that I've done and recognize them as accomplishments, rather than just like things that I've done or part of my journey, until I sit down and do things like this where somebody recognizes that. But I would say probably the wildest one, and one that I am proud of, is winning Chopped. I think that was just a very wild moment for me, not something that I ever thought would happen, being on the show and then actually winning.
Welcome back to Fearless Narrative, the show that's all about the incredible stories of women who are changing the game, breaking the rules, and pushing through the boundaries to face their fears head on, because they are fearless entrepreneurs and creatives, and we love to see it. I am your host, Courtlyn Jones, and on our show, we go into a deep dive into captivating storytelling and engaging conversations with these incredible women as they share how they are pursuing their passions and shattering glass ceilings along the way. We love that so much. It's so inspiring and so empowering to share these stories with you. And hopefully it will empower you to embrace your own fearless path. Our show is all about feeling the fear and doing it anyway, as well as women supporting women. We love that. We need more of that always. So before we get started, don't forget to hit the button to subscribe to our show. You also would love a nice 5-star review at the end. Without further ado, let's go into a new episode right now. Enjoy the show. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Fearless Narratives. I am your host, Courtlyn Jones, and today we have a truly inspiring guest who has a flair for creativity, entrepreneurship, and culinary excellence. Katherine Sprung is not your average entrepreneur. She's the founder and owner of Squish Marshmallows, a creative force behind the microphone as a voiceover artist, a culinary sensation with awards to prove it, and a content creator who knows how to captivate her audience. She's more than a culinary artist. She's also a finalist for the Best Dessert at the Vendy Awards, a 2020 Tory Burch Fellowship Fellow, and the winner of Food Network's Chopped Sweets. Katherine, how are you?
I'm doing amazing. Thank you. I'm excited to be here.
I'm happy to have you here too. So your journey involves a diverse range of passions and accomplishments. Can you share how your love for food and creativity led to the creation of Squish Marshmallows?
Oh boy. So I'll give you the Cliff's Notes version, and then I will open that up for follow-ups. So for me, I was writing a food blog just for fun. This is when I was working at a tech startup, and this is kind of pre, influencer days. So this was not like, a super, super saturated space at the moment. And I wasn't monetizing off of it. It was purely just for fun, kind of curating my favorite places to go and doing little, write-ups about them. And because it was all on my dime, I was thinking, all right, well, I should put in some content here that's free, or like stuff that I could actually benefit from. So I started doing some recipes, and that way, I had some content and I could eat it. It was great. And did one for marshmallows one day and was just kind of dazzled by the process of it. I love science, and it seemed like a very kind of science experiment like production, making marshmallows. I don't know if you've ever done it before, but just the transformation of one state, and seeing it go through a series of different states is kind of amazing. And the wheels started turning a little bit of thinking, I'm not really familiar with marshmallows that come in loads of different flavors, and certainly not ones that incorporate texture the same way that cookies can or cakes can. So I was like, well, let me play around and start making some different flavors, shared them with friends and family. And I was just in a very flexible place in my life where I thought, I'll just turn this into a company, and did.
That's amazing. It sounds so fun too.
Yeah.
Wait. So how long have you been involved in doing Squish Marshmallows?
It's been 9 years now. Yes, like
That's
9 years.
amazing.
Yeah. Yeah. 9 years of marshmallows.
So you've also been featured in various renowned publications and named a finalist for the Vendy Awards. What's the most rewarding aspect of your culinary achievement so far?
Uh, I would I would probably I mean, I I'm the kind of person that suffers severely from imposter syndrome, as I'm sure a lot of other people do as well. So for me, it's kind of hard to recognize some of the things that I've done and recognize them as accomplishments, rather than just like things that I've done or part of my journey. Until I sit down and do things like this where somebody recognizes that. But I would say probably the wildest one, and one that I am proud of, is winning Chopped. I
Mm.
think that was just a very wild moment for me. Not something that I ever thought would happen, being on the show and then actually winning. So yeah, that's probably a top one for me.
That's amazing. Okay, so I just want to say that your voice is already like really strong and beautiful, and I love your voice. So you also have experience as a commercial voiceover artist. So
Yes.
how have you ventured into this field, and what do you enjoy most about it?
Well, thank you. Uh, yeah, so it's super fun for for me. I studied broadcast journalism in like the overall program was radio TV. So I've always loved these things as a medium, and I didn't really think much about voiceover initially, and then gosh, I actually don't even remember exactly what prompted me to really want to start it, but I just remember wanting to just start it and ask some people that I knew how one gets started in that. I'm not an actor, prior to, and so I didn't have this huge network of people to really turn to and ask these things. So it was just kind of through some people who knew some other people, and started taking classes to do that, because it is I've had people approach me if they found out that I do that, and they're like, well, yeah, I've always wanted to do it, and I think that I have a really cool voice, so I'm just going to go for it. And I'm like, absolutely. Have you ever taken classes? They're like, I don't know. I'm like, take classes. Like it sounds, and I'm not trying to say this to sound uh, I don't even know what the word is, dramatic about it. But it is just like any other kind of trade or craft out there. You absolutely could have a propensity and like a gift or a skill that would make you an excellent candidate and would make you an excellent person to do voiceover. But it certainly helps to just, tune that in and learn from a professional before you just go into these things blindly, because it is acting for sure. And the thing that I love about it is that I can do it all within my own home if I need to. So my turnaround time is excellent. And yeah, and that's kind of been for the past number of years. I mean, even before COVID, a big requirement a lot of times for voiceover artists is to be able to have the ability to record at home, because a lot of times you need to have a really quick turnaround. Maybe you live in a state where there aren't recording studios on in every neighborhood. So being able to have that, and truly, as long as you have like really good sound buffering and a good mic, like you can do it.
I love that. I actually was approached in my childhood and also in my teen years to do some work with my voice, but because I have a stutter and I'm really insecure about that, I always turned it down. But then I think one time I actually did try it out for I think my high school yearbook to do the video for it, to talk over it, whatever, to like be the narrator for it. And
Yeah.
I actually was so proud of me for, saying yes to it finally. And then the person who was helping me to do the recording, my teacher, was so mean to me that it like killed it for me because I couldn't say I have a hard time saying words that start with an S or like a W, or like it comes and goes. And like I don't know I can't control my stutter, so I don't really know when it like comes, but the S's are always the hardest words for me. And when I was like I couldn't say certain words, she got so mad at me that I started crying, and it was like, I'm sorry, I wanted to help you out, but like it's really hard for me. So it was really traumatizing, honestly. It's not
Oh my
funny,
God.
but
I realize that it's a blessing that you have humor about it now. This is like an audio medium. Like I realized, so this is a podcast, but I have like you saw, like my mouth was like to the floor, my jaw was to the floor, my eyes were like rolling in the back of my head. This person is, I won't wish bad things on them, but like nobody should ever berate like a child, first of all, and somebody who is having a difficult time with something. Like that is when you need to be compassionate, you need to be patient. Like, are you sure this person was qualified to be a teacher? Like, because I'm having serious concerns about them. Please know that that was very much a them thing and not a you thing.
thank you.
Like that's not how you handle something. And you want to encourage somebody and, uplift them to make them feel confident and not do, because then, how many years later, like we think about this person that way and that sucks,
Mm-hmm.
but I hope you have hopefully moved past those terrible words. What a dreadful individual. I'm sorry that happened to you.
Thank you. Well, obviously now I have a podcast, so I'm doing okay. Like I overcome the fear, but it
Yeah,
took me a long
teacher,
time.
check her out now with a
Yeah.
podcast.
Okay, so going back to your win for Food Network's Chop Sweets, can you give us a glimpse into the intensity and excitement of being a part of a culinary competition?
Yeah, it's a wild show. It really is. I when it first came out and I was a kid, I used to watch it and get like severe anxiety just watching it because you see like I don't know if you're familiar with the show or not, but like you get this mystery basket and you open it up and it has I believe it's four ingredients, and you have to make something out of that in a composed dish that looks good, tastes good, and you have to finish doing it in the allocated time. And the one thing I will say is absolutely 100% that clock countdown is real. They don't stop it for like, to reset anything, or they don't keep it going to look like it's dramatic effect for TV. The time starts and it ends in real time. So you have to make all of these things. Now, with dessert in particular, um, this is nothing, nothing against cooking whatsoever. But I do feel like with cooking certain things, you can execute it in a more succinct amount of time. Whereas with desserts, depending on what you're making, certainly if you're baking something, these things take time. And unlike with cooking, where you can kind of ad lib and finesse as you go, like, oh no, this is looking crazy. Let me add something. If you're baking something, or something adjacent, you just have to hope for the best. You can't really, it's very hard to fix something once it's in the oven. Yeah. And then just seeing the crazy ingredients that get picked for you, and because I made it through, I get 3 rounds of these really wild baskets, like uh, two ingredients that luckily these were both in separate rounds, but in my first round the wildest ingredient there was like and remember this is for desserts, was was it oh no yeah, it was like garlic edamame hummus. Garlic edamame hummus. Like, how many desserts do you think of when that comes to mind?
Ew.
And then I believe it was, the second round, there was and this was just one of the four ingredients, a turducken. if you're familiar. It
No.
is a turducken. So it is a turkey. Stuffed inside that turkey is a duck. Stuffed inside that duck is a chicken.
I've heard
It
of that.
was a
Yes. Okay.
fully made turducken. And I
Ew.
was like, I'm really not even sure what's happening anymore. It was crazy. So yeah, you just get hit with the wildest stuff. And then, and then you've got a time just it's like a clock just ticking away.
Oh,
And yeah, I mean, honestly, when they said like go or whatever, I kind of just blacked out. And then like once they were like, time's up, then you kind of come back to. And you're like, what just happened?
that's insane. But you won, so congratulations, you did it.
Yeah, thank you. But by the grace of who knows what, yeah, it was really crazy. I just my only goal, honestly, doing that, um, was to hopefully just have fun with
Mhm.
it. I didn't want to I mean, I was definitely nervous for sure. I was feeling really um unsure about the whole thing the night before. I think nerves were just getting to me and I was like, oh my God, I'm gonna do so badly. This is gonna be terrible. Like I don't know if I can do this. Cause the thing of it too is so for me personally, I'm self-taught, so I'm not classically trained. So everything that I do is stuff that I've learned on my own, taught myself, watched videos, things like that, a lot of trial and error. And you never know who your competitors are going to be, right? These could be people who went to the top tier culinary schools, who have years of training in, the best establishments. So, then here comes me and I'm like, oh boy, like I really don't know how this is gonna shake out. But then in the morning, it's a very long day as well, I will say. If you do make it the full way, call time was like 6 a.m. And then at the end, after you do like testimonials and stuff like that, you get out like around 10 p.m. So
Wow.
it's pretty long day too. So my goal was just have fun, try not to get eliminated in the first round, but like even if you do, just like have fun. And because I think a lot of times too, you can see a lot of these shows. And sometimes what I will say about these productions is they're not editing it to make you look like a terrible person or anything like that.
Mhm.
But sometimes they do edit it in a way where it's like, oh wait, I didn't make that face at that point. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like, oh, okay, well, they do have that creative license. So I just wanted to, you know, be the best sport about it too. Cause I was like, well, if I only make it that one round, I want to make it count. I don't want them to to look at me and be like, oh man, what a poor sport,
Hmm.
So it's just like trying to have a good attitude, but also also think of something to make with these crazy things and also finish in time. So it's just like it's a lot. It's definitely that it's not a sustainable thing to do all the time. It's
Yeah.
like I did it once and I'm like, check.
Yeah,
We're
that's
good.
it. No more.
Yep. Tapped out.
That's insane. But was it fun for you at the end? Was it enjoyable?
Oh, it was, yeah. I mean, the experience as a whole, I would say was a blast.
Mhm.
And I I especially enjoyed and was very grateful for my fellow competitors. That's the other thing too. I want to get along with everybody. I'm not trying to make enemies. Like I would be terrible for these like reality shows where they want drama because I want nothing to do with that.
Amen.
So for me, I went into it wanting to just get along. And
Mhm.
then, of course, you don't know how everybody else is going to receive any of that, right? So there could be very difficult personalities. You have no idea, and it's completely out of your control. I was so grateful that every single member there was amazing. We're all still friends. We still have a
Oh,
group
I love that.
a text chain. We check in on each other.
Amazing.
They were amazing, incredible, and they truly helped make that a very memorable and excellent experience, because even people on production were telling us, wow, you guys are getting along amazing. And we were like, oh, is that not normal? And they were like, not exactly. Because there certainly are. It's purely a personality thing, right? Like if you do, and sometimes they're very strong personalities, sometimes very opinionated people, sometimes people are very competitive, and that might come out in a way that doesn't resonate with everybody in the group. So certainly there are times and episodes, I'm not privy to this personally, but according to production, where not everybody gets along great. So I was very grateful for the experience that I had, the group that I had. We were very supportive. We all made sure, they take your phones away and you don't have them until you leave. So we made sure in a crafty way to like get each other like our numbers and things like that, so that we could stay in touch. So so that was a huge takeaway for me too. The the other people that were a part of it as well.
That's amazing. And I will say your personality is like glowing. So I couldn't imagine having an enemy
Oh,
like
wow.
for you, because you're so sweet and you're so
Oh
like
dear.
bubbly, and it's good energy all around.
Well, that's very kind of you. I appreciate it. I just, it's just you just also don't want to go overboard sometimes too, because yeah, for me personally, I kind of by nature I'm very introverted, so I I always kind of sit back and try to read the room first before I jump in. So I remember, and like I'll never forget this, and I told her too. We all are in the green room together. You sign your paperwork and whatnot, and it's quiet, like nobody's talking to each other, because like also you don't know the vibe, right? Like you're
Yeah.
you're trying to feel it out. You're like, we just signed some paperwork, and like, do we talk to each other, do we not? Like, this is weird, I don't know, like how are people in the zone, and like I just need to shut up. So it was quiet, it was very chill. And then they were like, all right, guys, we're going to start walking to like, the kind of like a little waiting room. We're like, okay. So we all get up, and one of the other competitors, Rue, we're like in single file, and she turned around to me and she was like, I love your headband, with like this smile. And I was like, wah, and like my heart melted, and I was like, I just knew. I was like, this is going to be somebody that like I absolutely am going to enjoy their company. And she just truly like, um what's the word, words are escaping me today, but it like tensions melted. It was just like that one small thing, was just it made such an impact and such a difference in that moment, and it was such an amazing way to kind of start the whole journey. And then once we all got to the waiting room, the ice was just broken, and we all just started talking, and everybody was comfortable, and it was lovely, truly. Like it was very lovely. I got super lucky with the crew that I was with, so it was awesome.
That's beautiful. Okay. So your journey has gone from starting Squish Marshmallows to becoming a Tory Burch Fellowship Fellow, which is amazing, by the way. What advice do you have for aspiring entrepreneurs?
Oh boy. Well, it's tough, I guess, because entrepreneurship is like, some people will hear the word and they'll roll their eyes, and be like, that's not even a real thing. Like, get a job. And then others who are, more in that mindset, know what a wild journey that is too.
Yeah.
And it varies for everybody, right? Everybody's journey is very different. But the one thing that I would definitely say, is to feel really good about what it is that you're doing. I mean, I can only speak for myself. You're not always going to feel super confident
Mhm.
in what you're doing. I know that you want to feel super confident, and that's probably advice that many people will say, that you have to be confident. But I think the reality of it is you're definitely going to have moments where you're questioning a lot of things. But I think that the level of believing in whatever it is that you want to do or you are trying to do outweighs the questioning.
Mhm.
That's important, and that's what's going to carry you over. Because there were definitely times where I thought about, maybe a project that I wanted to start or something, and even got months along into it. And then just had a moment where I really had to stop and think, like, am I so passionate about this that I am willing to give up all social life? Am I
Yeah.
willing to, spend day in, day out focusing on this every single day and be happy and excited about that? Because I'd done that already with,
Mhm.
my company. In the beginning, it was, that very romantic grind hustle, like that whole mentality, which was necessary to pull me through, or else it's like, it just takes you longer, probably, if you have a more lackadaisical approach about it. Um, and so, with this particular project that I was contemplating, uh, I was like, no, for this one, I don't feel that same way. Like, I don't think that I could really dedicate my time and energy in that same way. And then that for me was like, okay, we need to let it go, or at least let it go for now.
Yeah.
You can pick up where you started if you want. But I think that you have to have that kind of moment of, I know that we have a very different approach to how we personally and as a society in America work. Um, and I, I would say that it's a little bit different. If you are working for a company or in corporate America or whatever it is, absolutely. If it's not your company, you should never be working like way over time. You should not be answering things over the weekend if that's not part of the situation. Like, that's how I feel. I know that a lot of companies still operate that way. I know there are a lot of employees that still operate that way. But that's one thing that I feel very strongly about, is that unless it is your personal company, you should never have to work that hard for somebody else's company outside of the bounds of what is, asked or expected from, like, always do a great job. I
Mhm.
mean, for sure. Always do an exceptional job. You can go a little bit above and beyond. Absolutely. But not where you're answering emails after you've left the office in the middle of the night, or answering text messages from supervisors. Like, no, like, that's not okay. But guess what? If you want to be your own boss and entrepreneur, you're going to be doing that stuff all the time. And you have to be okay with that. Um, but if you're excited about an idea that you have, excited about a project that you have, then it's worth it. Then you're up for it. And you just have to honestly just do the best that you possibly can. I always recommend too, seeking out networks of peers, of people. Maybe they're in the same space as you. Maybe it's almost, a mastermind group, or when I started in the food industry, that was not my background. So I knew pretty much no one. So I had to get creative and ask friends that I did have, do you know anybody who does this, that, or the other? Like, I have questions. Who knows how to start a business? What do I do? Like,
First question.
like these, yeah, like these were all things that I didn't go to school for that. I didn't study business. I didn't study, um, food or management or any. I studied broadcast journalism, which, like, I'm not mad about. I loved that.
Yeah.
But that doesn't prime you to own a marshmallow company. Do you know what I
Yeah.
mean? So you have to be, I think, a little bit scrappy. Use any resources that you have, and don't be scared to ask for help. I suffer from that, definitely. But truly, if you try and go on it all on your own, it's going to be a very lonely, very long journey. And unless you're a masochist, like don't do that to yourself, like ask for help, try to, and these people don't have to be your absolute best friends. I'm not saying that you have to seek out, lifelong friends that are helping you. But to have a nice community of people that are all looking out for each other and who you can ask questions, and then one day you're going to have some answers and somebody's going to want to ask you things, and then it's a full circle moment. So yeah, I mean, entrepreneurship, it's a crazy thing, but for the person who really wants to do something for themselves, or they have an idea that they feel very strongly about, it's just like, it's that kind of thing you can't turn off. You're like, I have to do this.
Yeah, I will say that I was the person in corporate who worked from, my hours were 9 to 6. I was there from like 9 to like 10 or 11. I was there on the weekends. Nope. I was working at home, and I was the employee that did everything, and I was killing myself, and I hate it. Well, I shouldn't say that. I was not having a good time, but
yeah.
But I mean, I will say that I did come in late. So I was like 9:30. I came in, but I still was there till like 11 p.m. So like I made up the hours, half hour, but whatever. But
and some.
Exactly. But I will say that because of all of the weekends I had to work on that, which was insane. Having that crazy ability to work that much is really what I think makes me a good entrepreneur now, because I knew that I could work all these hours and do my job and do for myself much more, because I love what I'm doing for me and for my community and my, customers. But it's just insane how much I had gone through or put myself through for someone else when it wasn't worth it. And I was getting paid like nothing. So, but I'm definitely a much better entrepreneur because I have that, ethic. So I guess it taught me something at least.
I always believe that there's something to be learned from every situation. So even if you have like a terrible situation, or, something like you went through where now I can't say whether you were underappreciated,
yes,
but I think okay, then let's say it. You were underappreciated. You were working far beyond what you should have been, whether that was their expectation or not. And you were being underpaid for the amount of effort and work that you were doing. And all that trifecta is really a recipe for just disaster. It's a terrible work culture. You're on a fast track to burnout for something that's not even yours. You know what I mean? Like, you don't have stake in this. I mean, or if they were like, oh yeah, we'll give you equity is part of the thing. Like, no. I always think that sometimes I'm like, that's so silly. Just pay me, please, because equity right now is not paying my rent.
Right.
So, company culture is such a major thing. And especially if here we go, we'll tie it in. If you are an entrepreneur, you are starting a company where you will be employing people. Always think how you would want to be treated as an employee. If you don't want to be, told to work 12, 14 hours a day, working on the weekends, when this is not your, you cannot expect that from other people. And you want people to enjoy working for you. If anybody is listening who works in HR, they will know that employee retention is a major thing, and it does not make any mathematical sense or just moral sense to have people to then just have a quick, turnaround, try to find new talent, then hire. Like, if you can hold on to people that are like, I enjoy this, I like working here, this is a nice place to work. How wonderful is that? And then as the employer, as the boss, that's super rewarding. There's no bigger compliment than people who, want to stay with you for as long as they possibly can. I mean, oh boy. Yeah. There's a lot of work out there that needs to still be done.
Yeah. I was there for 9 years, but again, it's because I like the
people. Bless you.
Yes. I loved my coworkers, but that's the only way that I was able to survive it for that long, because I loved who I was with until I didn't, until all of my like best friends there got fired or left. I was alone, and I was like, now I have to leave because now
Mhm.
I'm alone in this crap hole. I can't.
No, and that was the push that you needed, because I bet you if those people stuck around for whatever reason longer, you still would have been there.
Yeah.
And the universe has a weird way of working itself out, and was looking at you and was like, please, no, 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 don't do this to yourself anymore. We got to get these other people on the road so that you can get out of there too.
Yes, but really, I think that I got cancer during these years. I didn't know that until like I quit. But for for 2 years, my last 2 years that I was there, I had a tumor in my throat that I didn't know was a
Oh
tumor,
my
but I could
God.
feel it, but I didn't know it was cancerous. So I feel like all of my like working so hard and like all of the stress on my body probably caused me to get this illness. But I'm okay now. I'm good now. But I
Oh,
knew because of all of my years of like all that work, all that burning out, that really probably caused me to get cancer.
I mean, I am not a board certified doctor, so I will not make any diagnoses here,
Yeah.
but absolutely stress can manifest in so many toxic ways
Yeah.
that I will say with certainty that certainly wasn't helping.
No.
So I'm so glad to hear that you're well. I'm so glad to hear that you're out of that situation. Ugh,
Yeah.
so much better.
Thank you.
Yes.
Okay, so back to your other amazing achievements. As a content creator, what are your favorite ways to connect with your audience and convey your creativity and personality?
Hmm. Well, it's something that I think is a little bit ever evolving, and that you kind of, have to keep discovering. I just recently launched a new web series and podcast, and I think that it's a slight pivot from a the same series under the same namesake, but this is technically a second season, but I'm kind of referring it to as a new show, because it really is, the context of it is very different. So it's called Sprung on Food.
Mhm.
And the previous season kind of started as a passion project, something that I had always really wanted to do, to have a series and have it be about food. I'm obsessed with talking about food. I can do it all the time. And luckily, in the past number of years, food has become a much more popular topic of conversation. And it just seemed like a really great space for that. But what was accessible to me was being able to find people in the food industry and get to, make a signature dish with them and interview them at the same time. And I thought it was lovely. I had an amazing time doing it. I got to, work with some really incredible other food vendors. And after I wrapped that season, I was really thinking about it. And I was like, I don't want to keep doing episodes in this same way, because it feels like it has become a very saturated market.
Mm.
And while I'm having fun doing what I'm doing, and I think we're putting out lovely episodes, um, with the on rise of like TikTok and all of these other things, it's such a crowded space. And if I'm not doing anything that has a slightly different angle, or if it just doesn't feel that different, it's just, it's that kind of thing where it just is probably going to just get lost in the shuffle.
Yeah.
And like, it's like, okay, cool. One more of these shows. We really need that. And I think that that's the important thing too, is that you have to like keep it real with yourself also, and be, we're always our toughest critics, but you also have to be like critical in that way too. If it's not something that you would enjoy watching on your own,
Mm.
you have to think like, are there other people who are really going to be that interested? And it wasn't until I started doing festivals,
Mm.
and music festivals, and interviewing the musicians, and then incorporating all of my questions were like food based questions, because those things are kind of like press junkets. Like, you have all the artists there, you have all of the media there, you're all in the media tent, and kind of like a round robin thing, and they get asked the same questions. Oh, you're so excited to be here, like tell me about your performance, tell me about your latest album. And like, these are fine, Yeah, great. Like somebody wants to know. But when every single person is asking you the same thing because they need it for their, outlet, their publication, I can only imagine how obnoxious and annoying that is. So it was very delightful to be able for me to just do this because I'm only working for myself. So I don't have to check in with somebody and be like, are these questions okay? It's like, these are questions I want to ask you. And the the different people that I got to interview in the bands, the artists, they were so amazing and so engaged. I would watch, as they're having interviews with other people. And, they might look like just like, okay, like we're going through the motions, we're doing this. And then when I sat down with them, there was like a new level of like energy that I wasn't seeing while they were talking to other people. And I was like, oh, we're talking about fun stuff. Like we're talking about different things that involve them. I want to get to know you as a person. Like, and we're going to talk about your music in that. We're going to talk about inspirations in that, but it's not such a cookie cutter, question, answer, conversation. And I was like, I love this format so much. So why don't I do this in a more, for lack of a better word, like permanent way? And so this season, I wanted to be able to do that. And so I came up with a theme, which is talent on the mic. So it kind of makes it more focused. And I interview musicians and comedians. And we sit down for a meal at a restaurant and talk about them, but through the topic of food. And it's so much fun for me. It's brand new. So we'll see if people like it. I don't know. I'm having fun with it. I enjoy it. And you just have to kind of like gauge from the reception of others. And I think be in the same vein of like the entrepreneurism that we were talking about, being just like persistent and patient, because I think a lot of times too, whatever kind of content you're creating out there, I think there's always that looming, like, I want to go viral, like for a lot of people, and they see it happen, but to like some people, but to me, it's a very, very unicorn situation where a video of yours goes viral and then all of a sudden all your other videos are going viral. All of a sudden you're getting millions of followers. Like, yes, there are a lot of people, like if you think about it, that happens to, but when you extrapolate the number of people that are actually on these platforms versus the amount that are going viral, it's such a small percent. And if that's your whole goal, then you're probably doing it not for the wrong reasons, but I can't imagine how enjoyable it is.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? When you're always just thinking, oh my God, is this video going to go viral? And am I going to just blow up? Is my account going to blow up?
The pressure is a lot.
It's a lot of pressure, but it's also like, I don't even know how you do it. Like, I don't even know how you try to create, because there's so many different trends that always change. And if I don't know how a person follows that kind of format where they just want to just create to become viral, because I'm like, but then what's the basis of what you do? Like, I don't like, and even some people who have become viral, I'm like, I'll go to their page and I'm like, so what do you do exactly? Like, what's happening? True. But if they're entertaining people and they enjoy it, their fans and audience enjoy it, then you're winning. You're doing it right. So yeah, it's a very weird, being in any creative industry is a weird journey. There's a lot of learning, and a lot of just like giving yourself grace and being patient and not forcing things too, because you have to think of ideas and like great ideas aren't just always, we'd love them to always be flowing like, like crazy, but it's not always happening. So that can be frustrating too, trying to come up with, great ideas that you think will actually work, in the timeline that you want them to.
That was a great answer. Okay, so bonus question.
Yeah.
When was the last time that you felt fearless? A time when you were afraid, but you did it anyway. And then how did it turn out in the end?
Wonderful question. The last time I felt fearless. I mean, truthfully, it might kind of be, or at least maybe my memory is just not allowing me to go too far back, but it might be creating this new series. Because, for somebody like myself, while I've, kind of had different lives, and done a number of different things, I still wouldn't say, especially in this particular case of trying to start, a series, a show, I am doing it like all my own. I have a videographer partner that I work with, but it's just us. Like, I don't have anybody else. I don't have anybody driving me to do these things. I have to, be producer, director, editor, promoter, like all these things. And if you're not doing it, it's certainly not going to get done.
Yep.
And you just kind of have to figure it out along the way. And cold contacting a lot of people, which is like, it's fine, but it can be scary and daunting. Getting no's can be scary and daunting, but to be able to kind of push through all of that, and keep going until you have, final products, and then be able to kind of look at it and be like, oh yeah, I did that. That's pretty cool. Like, even if you're not getting like millions of views and you don't have millions of subscribers, I always say that. And then a lot of people that I tell strangers, in random ways, sometimes a topic will come up and they'll be like, yet. And I'm like, I love your positivity.
Yeah.
Sure. Not millions of subscribers yet. Like, and that's the thing too. Everybody has always started from somewhere. You think of like any kind of show that's out there. One example that I love using, because it's sort of adjacent to what I'm doing currently in my series, talking, like, incorporating food and interviews, is Hot Ones. I mean, certainly their popularity is far beyond mine. But as of now, no, I'm just kidding. But you look back, and I think the show has been around for 10 years or 10 seasons, whatever that equates to. But you look back at the very first episode, right? And it is very different from what you see today. You're trying to find your footing, you're trying to find your audience. But even then, it's, an outlet of, a digital media publication, right? So you already have a leg up there. But that's the thing, is like everything starts from some place.
Yeah.
And, as long as you're enjoying it and it's exciting and you want to keep going, you just, you do it. And then I guess you think, hey, I guess I was being a little bit fearless in this situation.
I love that. And I think we're going to end the show there. But lastly, how can our audience find you?
Yeah. So you can get all the links to all the platforms and everything on my website, katherinesprung.com. You can follow on Instagram at I am Sprung. YouTube, I am Sprung. Everything, all the platforms, I am Sprung. So that's pretty easy to find. And there are links through everything for Squish Marshmallows, Sprung on Food. All those links are all within my website too. So you can just go to home base, find it all.
Thank you for joining me today, Katherine. I'm like having a smile attack. I'm like, my face is like frozen in a smile from all of your amazing gems and your amazing stories today. I loved having you on the show. Thank you for being here today.
Oh, thank you so much. It was an absolute pleasure.
Okay. And that is a wrap. Fearless Narratives airs every Monday, Wednesdays, and Friday. Thank you for joining us today. You have been an amazing audience, and we really love your support. So we also would love for you to give us a nice 5-star review. And until next time, stay fearless.